This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Welcome to the Gee Spot Podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us for conversations around sex, spirit, and all things self-care. All things self-care. All things self-care.
This is a journey into sound.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
You are a Gee Spot Podcast with Katie Silcox.
Hey, beautiful people. Welcome. I am here with you talking about one of these most central Ayurvedic premises that I come back to over and over and over again. And I think the reason why I became so interested in Ayurveda is that the realm of food has been a realm of struggle for me since, who knows, maybe since birth, definitely since childhood. And I suspect many people out there listening, food is a place that we struggle with. And, I think we only have to look online and look at the wellness industry to understand that telling you what to eat and telling you what will be best for you is big business. And so what I love about Ayurveda is that it says how you eat might be as important and maybe even more important than what. I think that so many of us get so obsessed with what should I eat? What should I eat? What should I eat? And Ayurveda says, it's really more important the state that you're in. And so I just want to talk about these Ayurvedic basic guidelines for how we eat in a way that's nurturing and loving. Ayurveda understands food and eating to be an opportunity for communion with God, for communion with the divine, for communion with nature, for communion with that which is beyond our body. And if you think about it, taking an apple, for example, and holding it in your hand, what you're actually doing, in the words of my friend Regaya, food is a prana delivery service. Food is a way of getting the energy into our body, and that apple is the form of that prana, of that energy. And that apple has been, living in the rain and living in the air and living in the soil and living in the sun and taking in all of that good, healthy prana. And so when we eat that apple, we're having a sacred experience of taking that which is not me, that which is outside of me, and having it become me. And so when we eat the food that we're eating, we're taking in all of that cellular matrix, the atoms, the molecules. And if we keep going back far enough, what we're actually taking in is a part of life that has been in existence since the beginning of time. So it's a mystical experience, this whole thing of eating. And so if we eat high prana, loving, farmers market, organic as best as possible food, we are taking in this highest form of prana, and that's definitely going to be different than if we eat at McDonald's. But what the yogis said is that if your attitude is right and your spirit is strong and your love field is strong and your vibration is strong, you can eat a McDonald's meal with loving kindness and it give you more life force than if you eat the perfect farmer's market organic kale bowl and you eat it with a bad attitude or with resentment in your heart or with stress or with disease. So first and foremost, release the pressure valve, release the self-judgment on the what, and let's build up the vibes of how and the spirit in which I approach food. When we eat food with this kind of high vibes love field, with awareness of where it came from, with respect for what we're taking into our body, the food melds with us in a different way than if we take it with mindlessness and disregard or ill repute. So we want to take food in a way in which it can join well with our bodies. And in that way, it's a mystical thing, but it does help reduce the symptoms that so many of us have: bloating, gas, indigestion, any of these kinds of qualities that, if, by the way, you didn't hear about, the last episode was on how to get the perfect poo, if that exists. So go back and listen to that one for sure. So all this to say, eating can become one more form of meditation. So how do we get there? And we get there by starting our meal with grace, starting our meal with slowing down, taking a moment to breathe, taking a moment to let our system settle. And one of the best ways we can do that is to join our attention to the environment outside of us. So eating in a beautiful place is a really good idea. I'm sitting here right now on the floor of my house, and I can look out the window and see this beautiful tall tree. I've got a nice soft rug underneath me. Being in an environment where we can see nature is really, really key. Eating outside is the best. And if some of you are listening and you're like, oh, I have to eat at work, can you take pause to at least move away from your desk, move away from your computer screen? Can you go outside for 10 or 15 minutes? Can you at least look out the window at nature? And this really prepares our body to be in that high vibrational frequency of tuning to nature where that food has come from. It's really important that we enjoy the food. So can you really get into the pleasure of what you're eating? And I find for myself, I can get really excited about food. Food is my pleasure language. I love eating. I get excited about every single meal. But sometimes I notice I'm rushing through the meal because I'm so excited about getting it in my body that I actually can eat something that I was really excited about, and I ate it so fast and so mindlessly that I didn't even actually enjoy it. So can we eat in a way that builds pleasure? If you want to eat ice cream, but eat it, feel it, experience it. And what I find for myself is if I really, really stay with the power of the pleasure, I only need 6 bites of ice cream instead of the entire, pint. So, definitely try to be in that pleasure. This is one of my biggest challenges. Ayurveda asks us to chew our food until it is even in consistency. And that really requires that I pay attention to what's in my mouth. I'm not a big fan of 20 bites, 30 bites, 40 bites. I think just because it just depends on the food, getting that food to even consistency. You don't have teeth in your, digestive tract. You don't. You've got teeth up in your mouth, which technically is a part of your digestive tract. So especially if you have any digestive issues, you're going to want to make sure that you really chew the food so that it is as digested as possible before actually going into your digestive system. This is something we've talked about before, but eating until you get to that 75% full feeling. The ancient teachings say you want to have a third of your belly full of food, a third of your belly full of liquid, and a third of your belly full of air, meaning empty. And so stopping before you get to that full feeling. After you come away from a meal, you don't want to feel lethargic. You don't want to feel de-energized. You want to feel satiated, pleasured, satisfied, but not like you need to go take a nap for an hour, right? This is sort of how you're going to know. There's a classic way of, eating to the first burp happens. And I think that's a good kind of modicum for determining how full you are for a lot of people, but that doesn't work for everyone. So I think a better way is just, trust your intuition, trust your body. This is where I feel I need to stop and putting that fork down. Another really great tip is you want to, especially at lunch, you want to give your food some time to digest. And so, classic Ayurveda, you'd want to lay or lean, if you can't lay down at work, lean to your left, for a little while. And that gives your body a chance to digest. You want to give at least a few minutes to take a few breaths, give yourself that ease. And typically in ancient Ayurveda, they would say lunch is our biggest meal. And after lunch, rest a while. After dinner, walk a mile. So that is an amazing practice. If you can give yourself some time to digest lunch, which should be our heavier meal, and after our supper, which comes from that word supplement, so dinner would be our lighter meal, take a little walk outside, moonbathe, and I think you'll notice that really helps things digest. So what about water? If you're drinking soup, you're going to get that 1/3 liquid. And so when they're speaking about 1/3 liquid, they're not talking about drinking ice water. They're talking about the unctuousness of oil. A little bit of warm tea or water with your meal is fine. But if you're eating food that's warm, wet, and unctuous and well cooked, that's going to also give you a lot of that water. So I hope this has been helpful. Just some quick tips. It's way more important how you eat than what you eat. Today's beautiful podcast has been brought to you by our lovely gals over at ApotheKary, and you can find more about them in the show notes. They've got some amazing summer products for us out there. Go with your gut. They've got a beautiful shatavari. They've got some awesome anti-inflammatory herbs. Their turmeric is wonderful. Check out apothekary.co. And if you're if you're new to all this world, they've got a great little, what is my dosha? Quiz. So we're going to provide a little link in the show notes. If you're totally virgin to Ayurveda, this is a great website in general to get started. They have awesome posts, blogs, information for especially people that are new to Ayurveda. I think they're one of the best out there. I love their products. I use their products. And we really appreciate them sponsoring this podcast so that you guys can get all this information totally for free. As always, we want to encourage you to check us out online at theshaktischool.com. You can follow us on Instagram. And if you love this podcast, subscribe to it and leave us a great review. And that really helps other people find us. We have a link in the show notes for a free subscription to the Lineage of Love. If you're digging this and you want to move with us and meditate with us every month, we want you to be there. And we're going to let you in the doors for free. And when you come in for free, you literally get access to my entire compendium of video practices and audio practices. And I think you'll find there's so much there for you to feel really supported in this journey of being a human. So join us in the Lineage of Love totally for free. Ayurveda School Level 1 starts January 2020. And so if you want to spend a whole year studying Ayurveda, if you want to spend a year really dedicated to your own wellness, check that out. Also, link in the show notes. All right, beauties, have a great day and eat well.
फूटे फूल